think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really. Now that nothing came out about me, but I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
Yes, sir. I think it's time to turn the page. Unfortunately, you're on the next page, too. You're like on 5,000 of the pages, right?
77%. That is not a slim majority. That is not a partisan split. That is 3 out of every 4 Americans across every party, every state, every demographic saying the same thing. Release the files, and the one person in the country with the power to do it won't. Stephen Colbert has covered the Epstein story from every angle. The redactions, the delays, the press conferences that answer nothing. But on this night, he stopped covering the angles. He asked one question, a single, simple, direct question, and the silence that followed from every corner of Trump's administration became the only answer anyone needed.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent president.
Which country are you watching this from right now? Drop it in the comments, because this question didn't stop at American borders. It landed everywhere and nowhere did it receive an answer. The segment opened differently than usual. No montage, no setup clips, no jokes to warm the room. Colbert sat at his desk, hands folded, glasses off, the posture of a man who had decided that tonight the comedy could wait. He said, "I want to try something different. I don't want to talk about what is in the Epstein files. Everybody's talking about that. Every show, every panel, every podcast, arguing about names, about redactions, about what was released and what wasn't." He said, "I want to ask a different question, a simpler one that nobody seems to be asking, even though it might be the only question that actually matters."
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
You showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people.
This is narrative analysis built around real congressional proceedings, documented DOJ actions, widely reported press conference exchanges, and a pattern of obstruction that has been cataloged publicly for months. Colbert laid out the pattern not with opinion, with a timeline. He said, Congress members went to the DOJ's secure reading room to review the less redacted files. They are legally allowed to do this. It is their constitutional right as members of the legislative branch conducting oversight. He paused. He said, the DOJ tracked what they searched for without telling them, then printed the results, then gave those results to the Attorney General, who brought them to a hearing and used them against the very Congress members who were exercising their legal right to read the files. He let that sit. Then he said, a photographer caught the document in the Attorney General's open folder. It had a congresswoman's name on it, followed by the words search history. He let that sit too. Then Pam Bondi stood behind a podium and told the country there was no connection between Trump and Epstein, while photographs of them together have been public for over a decade. While Trump's own quote, praising Epstein, terrific guy, likes beautiful women, many on the younger side, has been searchable on the internet since 2002. Then, when Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, a man who endorsed Trump 3 times, questioned Bondi about redactions, she accused him of having Trump derangement syndrome, a Republican questioning redactions, diagnosed as deranged by the Attorney General. Then, when survivors of Epstein's trafficking were asked in a congressional hearing whether the DOJ had agreed to meet with them, every single one raised their hand to say no. Everyone. Colbert looked at the camera and he asked the question, if there is nothing to hide, why is every single person who tries to look being punished for looking? If you are watching this and you want to see more moments where one question dismantles an entire defense, subscribe and hit that like button, because that question is still unanswered. And this channel exists to make sure it stays visible. The audience didn't erupt the way they usually do. They went still. The kind of still that happens when a question bypasses the entertainment part of the brain and lands in the part that processes fear, because the question wasn't about politics, it wasn't about left or right, it wasn't about Trump. Specifically, it was about a system where the people responsible for justice are spending more resources monitoring who reads the evidence than investigating who is in it. Colbert repeated the question, slower this time. He said, Congress members are tracked, survivors are ignored. A Republican ally is called deranged. The Attorney General brings a search history printout to a hearing, and the President, the one person who could release everything today, with one signature, says nothing, does nothing, signs nothing. he said. I am not asking what is in the files. I am asking why everyone who tries to find out gets treated like the criminal. Many observers noted that Colbert's question cut through the noise precisely because it avoided the noise. He didn't speculate about names. He didn't claim to have secret documents. He didn't accuse anyone of specific crimes. He asked a structural question, a question about the behavior of the system itself, and let the behavior answer. Trump's team responded the next morning. Bondi's office issued a statement about the thoroughness of the review process. Caroline Leavitt called the coverage partisan. Trump posted about Colbert's ratings. Nobody answered the question, not because they forgot, not because it wasn't clear, not because it was unfair or loaded or biased. They didn't answer because the answer spoken honestly would have been more damaging than the silence. And that silence, the silence of an entire administration faced with one simple question, choosing collectively to say nothing, told the country more than any file, any redaction, any document could have. Because when the most powerful people in the country hear one question and every single one of them goes quiet, the quiet is the confession. Subscribe to the Narrative Brief and turn on notifications. One question, 0 answers. We make sure the silence doesn't go unnoticed.